Hey, Kieran, what's up?
Julia, did you hear what they said?
No, what did they say?
Oh my gosh, I have to tell you right now. Meet me in the studio in 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm on my way. I'll see you soon. Welcome back to That's What They Said, an education and conversational podcast where we address all things that aren't in the college brochure. I mean, I mess up the intro, and it's, season 2, episode 7? Guys, hey.
I think that's a good starting point for this episode.
No, and I agree.
Yeah.
I'm also feeling like my voice is very crisp today. Like, the mics are feeling, I don't really know what's going on.
The mics are feeling like microphones today. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like my voice is a little bit, like, farther back, like, lower.
Yeah.
Like, farther in my throat today. Right, exactly.
Right.
Last episode, I sounded like something else.
Well, we were both kind of low-key going through it last episode. And
this is true.
I'm still, like, I was just telling Kieran, this nostril right here is still, like, dripping because it's cold outside this morning, and I was about to say I just walked here, but that's actually a lie. I walked here, like, half an hour ago, but you know what? We rise. I would love to hear your High-Low Buffalo.
Yes. Okay. High-Low Buffalo.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello, Buffalo.
Hey. Hello, Buffalo. My low is, honestly, last week was a really hard week for me. I had so many things going on.
True.
I'll talk about it probably more in my update.
True.
But this week's episode, by the way, is like a check-in episode. We're kind of touching base on like the mental health thing again, seeing how we're doing. Kind of just, it's like we're entering midterm seasons, if not have already. So this is our midterm podcast.
And also, I feel like when we did our mental health episode, which was episode 6, which was ages and ages and ages ago. Ooh, I got a group me message. We talked about mental health and how I get really bad seasonal depression. So I thought it would be interesting to check in now that it's like we're in the depths of seasonal depression era.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like we've both had a lot of life updates since then. I don't know. A lot has changed since we did our first mental health episode. So I'm kind of excited to check in and see like how our strategies have been working.
Yeah, semesterly check-in, if you will.
Here.
But yes, last week was very exhausting for me. It was rough. My low is just the constant stream of exams that's happening right now.
True.
My high is that I'm going to New York this weekend.
Yay! The Big Apple.
Yeah.
The Big Apple.
I was just there back in December. But I'm going for Bachelorette. I leave on Thursday.
The Bachelorette?
The Bachelorette? I'm filming this on Tuesday. I'm leaving on Thursday.
True.
So I'm very excited about it. I'm planning to do no homework, no work, no nothing.
Oh my
hopefully.
Goodness.
I haven't done that in almost a year now, so we'll see how that goes for me. I'll probably okay. For those who are listening on the audio podcast, Julia was doing those like anime like
you know when they like move across the screen? That's me. Anyway, sorry guys. I don't actually do that in real life, please. But also if you do, it's fine. But like I personally don't. But like if you do, it's okay. Like I don't
think I wasn't talking or doing my High-Low Buffalo that you asked me to do.
Sorry. I'm in a bit of a good mood today, y'all, and I really don't know why, so
I'm so glad. The duality.
True.
My buffalo is that
Buffalo. I'm sorry.
My buffalo is that my mom brought me half a loaf of sourdough bread from La Farm Bakery, and I ate half of it. I've yet to actually toast any of it. I've just been eating the bread raw. Eating sourdough by the slice. So good. Yeah, I haven't put any of it in the toaster. I've just been eating it. So, fire.
I emailed I taught a contra class, and I made Kieran come with me as emotional support. And it's like last week.
I did help though.
It true. And it was my first time ever calling a contra dance and like teaching whatever contra. I teach other types of dances, but my first time teaching contra. And I emailed Clean yesterday because I was like, I'd love to make a LinkedIn post. Like, can you send me the photos? And she sent me the photos, and there's one of me where I'm actively like yelling at the whole group of people, and I'm going, hey! And I'm like, okay, so maybe that's like really not what I kind of was going for with the photo situation. but I appreciate you sending that my way. But there was like one good, they had like a professional photographer there. Do you remember?
Yes, I do, unfortunately.
And like low-key, they got a good pic of us.
Oh,
I don't know like how you'll like feel about it, but it's like, I mean, it's
Scared
definitely
already.
a side profile moment, but I feel like not bad. Like it's like low-key good.
No, low-key we ate down.
Right. And so that might be posted on LinkedIn, maybe elsewhere as well.
Yeah.
But low-key, I feel like I ate. My hair looks really good. Anyway, can I do my Hello Buffalo?
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of low, it's cold.
And this is a true statement.
And my nose is running.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I feel like I had like one. Do I have a low going on at the moment? In terms of internship search, that's a low, and it's kind of stressing me out. Because I had an interview last week. That was in person, and I didn't get it. It was like my last round interview, and there was only 2 of us, and I didn't get it. And I was like, you know what? And then I had a whole freak out where I was like, I'm not good enough for anything. But then I was like, wait, they had a lot of applicants, and I made it to the final round, which is a win. And it was a good experience in interviewing, and I haven't done an in-person interview in a while, so it was good to like get back into it. But I applied to probably 15 internships yesterday, and I woke up this morning and started looking at more. So, just stay tuned on that front. In terms of hi, hello, I had my actual contra dance on Saturday, and it was so good.
We had
so good.
The most amount of people ever show up, over 150 people.
It's true.
Which may not seem like a lot, but that's a lot for contra dance.
It's true. And we were in one of the ballrooms in the student union, and it was full, like
Packed.
completely full. Like people, like by the time like it was like 6:35, it started at 6:30, like the lesson, and the lesson started, and it was like full. Like everybody was in a huge circle around the ballroom, and people were like crammed into the corners, like trying to practice. It was a major slay, and I was so happy. And like I have people coming up to me that there's a group called TCD, which is like the contra dancers of the Triangle
Contra dance.
Well, country. They call themselves the country dancers, which I'm like, bro, you host contra dances, which is not country dancing, but whatever.
Triangle country, maybe like country, like North Carolina. Like
I don't know,
country.
but they've been like a thing for like 50 years. So I was like, you know what? If you
let them have it,
don't let me tell you to change your name. Anyway, and so I had all of them, like all the people that are on the board for that, come up to me and be like, "This is like amazing! Like this is such a high energy dance! Like you have so many people here. This is awesome!" Because that's more people than they have at their dances, and they've been doing that for years. And I do this myself, and I have my front desk lady over here, and also Frank was one of my front desk ladies this time. He's a real good front desk lady. He types real good. But anyway, so I like run this dance myself. I spend literally hours every week marketing and sending emails and figuring out ways to like spread the word that it's happening and make sure we can like continue having the dances and blah blah blah. So the win that we are experiencing at the moment is that so many people came to the last one, and I'm expecting the same amount of people to come to the next one or more. I would like it to be more. Like I would obviously like more people to come. But the venue that we're supposed to have it at next time is too small, so I had to cancel our reservation for that venue, and we're looking to reserving literally a field to host the next
outdoor
conference.
space, a literal field. It's literally called Harris Field.
It's a field. And I think like it's not, dancing on the grass is not really conducive to like doing like all the more advanced like turns and twists and things, but I think the concept of like being whimsical and dancing on the grass barefoot will appeal to a lot of contra dancers, because a lot of us dance barefoot and dress like hobbits anyway. So like, Bilbo Baggins' birthday party, have you ever watched The Hobbit and all that? No. Okay. Well, Bilbo Baggins' birthday party, when he turns like 100 and something or whatever, is outside, and they dance around in the grass, and hobbits go barefoot all the time,
Yeah,
and,
like you.
Right. And they like dress really like whimsical and slay.
Woodland,
it's true. And so that's kind of the vibe I'm going for, but I'm kind of stressed because I have to get it approved. And if I don't get it approved, then we have like actually no venue. So kind of workshopping that. I literally was telling Drew and Kieran, Drew's our front desk lady in the business office, that I like woke up multiple times last night. Like I need to send an email to figure this out. Like but I can't do it. Like I literally just have to wait for like a week and a half to find out if it gets approved. But anyway, that's why I'm really excited about that. And my buffalo, I have 2, but they're related. One, I saw that really fat robin this morning that I was telling you about. And it was all fluffed up like a little circle, and it looked so cold. I wanted to pick it up like this. And I said, good morning. And it looked at me, and it was like, and I was like, he's so cold. And
that's how I felt about the goose that I saw yesterday.
Nasty.
I was driving away from campus to go back to my apartment, and I had to stop to let these geese cross.
Nasty.
My favorite thing about geese is I know that they're always saying some swear word at me, but like in goose language, and it always makes me laugh because also the way that they walk is very just like, what you want, what you looking at, bruh? What you want?
They're so nasty.
But then I also know that they're being like, you're ugly, you're stupid, you're dumb. Like
the dog, the fish.
Like I know that's how every single goose thinks about me, or just like anyone, and so it just made me laugh. Well, I don't think geese are one to be like, I love the world. Like well,
you don't know. I mean, Canadian geese, I feel like, yes, they're like that. But other geese, you ever seen a different kind of goose? They're real nice. They're real nasty. Real squishy.
I don't tap into the goose culture that much,
okay,
but
well.
I am a big fan of it. I do appreciate it from a distance. And in another life, I would love to have a pet goose.
We had pet ducks where they're like the big kind of ducks.
Yeah.
So they look like geese. Oh, they were so nasty. They were so good to hug. They would like waddle up and put their head like right here, and you could give them a big hug, and you could kiss all over their little head, and it was so soft. Anyway, my second part of my buffalo, sorry to just continue on, but Cleo, my sibling, they go to UNC, sent me a picture yesterday of, in a tree when it gets like knots in the tree, and it's like where like squirrels live.
Yeah.
And stuff. Well, there was a teeny tiny knot, and it was like this big. And
the size of like an apple.
Yeah. And there was a chipmunk in there, and he was just looking out, and he fit in there so good. Let me show you the picture. That's his house. He's so comfy, and I wanted to live in there with him, and he was so nasty. And like, Cleo sent me a picture, and I was like, what am I looking at? We just have a chipmunk in there.
At the gym yesterday, we were talking about Tinkerbell characters.
Look at him.
Oh my goodness.
Can you guys see him? He's in there. He's so comfy. Oh, nasty.
We were talking about Tinkerbell fairies at the gym yesterday and which one we would be, and I said that Julia would be the one that, or like power-wise, Julia would be able to speak to animals.
It's true, because I already talked to him because you're so nasty, and I just love him so much. I really do. And I talked to Rudy on the phone yesterday. Rudy Rotten, my mink, yes. And just let me just show you a little photo of what I was. Oh, it's actually disgusting. Look at it. It's got its zipper.
Oh, for those who cannot see, Rudy is on its back, little feet's in the air. It's looking very nice and flat and round.
Yes, it's
and
true.
chunky.
Wait, here is it. It is doing its trick.
Ooh, the leg was up.
Yes, it is doing ballerina leg. Oh, that feels so nice.
When you pet a certain part of Rotten's leg, it just goes bloop, and it just sticks out.
It does. It is actually nasty. And here, I sent this to Kieran this morning. Is Rudy with his little birdie on his back?
A nice round Rudy positioned upon a chair with its little toy on top of him.
You see a little birdie on it.
My dogs kind of do the same thing as Rotten, but we call it stick paw, wiggly paw.
Ooh.
And if you pet a certain part of their elbow, okay, so like I learned this that all dogs can do this because I would just go up to my friends' dogs and see if they would do it, and they do. But we call it stick paw, wiggly paw in my family. And I don't really know how I came up with it, but at some point I did. But basically, like, the idea is that, like, when you go and, like, grab a dog's leg, I guess, when it's laying down or whatever,
right. It's
very just, like, loose and wiggly. But if you pet a certain part of their elbow, they'll lock it, and so it becomes, like, a literal, like, stick, and you can just, like, if you grab it, they just, like, it's just, like, one aggressive motion. And so sometimes I go up to my dogs, I'm like, stick paw, wiggly paw, and if you pet just below their elbow, it locks in place, and then you pick it up and you can do taps with it. But you always have to do a double tap to confirm it's in stick mode. Because sometimes they'll like loosen it back up, but if you do the double tap, they just like stick. It just like stays as a stick.
Oh, so your dogs are nasty. I really like their toes are very separated. Like you
very
can see
distinct toes, and I don't know how much I love that about them. Like it's pretty nice, but also like
it's pretty nice. I like it. And they do tippy taps. Just so excited and tippy tapping and tapping. So excited.
They do tippy taps. I do love a tippy tap. My favorite is when they back up tippy tap.
Ooh,
if they get so excited, they just go backwards. Like they just like don't know what to do, so they start backing up.
So exciting.
But because their toes are so distinct and like clean shaven, you can hear all of their little nails.
Yeah.
And Piper like can't jump because she like broke her back legs as a puppy because she was dropped as a puppy.
No.
So she can only like hop, and she'll only hop if she's like really excited. She'll do a little like bunny hop almost, where she's like the front 2 paws are up and then the back 2, like she goes like maybe half an inch off the ground. She doesn't go very far, but she'll do like her little hop.
Nasty.
But
Money anyway. Well, you know what pets are helpful for? Improving your mental health.
Oh,
and that's
wow.
a great segue into
what?
into talking about our mental health and levels of stress. So I would love to hear your quick update. Just kind of start me off with how are you feeling today, mental health wise, and then we'll go into what we've been up to this semester.
Today, mental health wise, it's been a rough couple weeks, and it'll continue to be that. Just rough in the sense of like so busy in every single aspect of my life.
Yeah.
I'm needing to give 100% at work right now and 100% at school, but then also at some point maybe give at least 50% to my friends, but then also give myself at least 50%.
True.
And if you notice that these percentages do not equal to 100,
It's like 650.
yeah, and then there's more aspects of my life that also need attention, like my family and, you know, my hobbies and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just spread very thin at the moment.
Thin.
I can't even get into that right now. I'm
Sorry. I hit a nerve. I'm so sorry.
It's been a rough couple weeks with me body positivity wise. Did I tell the math story on the podcast?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
We're feeling body negative.
body negative recently. For those who did not hear about it, very quick recap. I was called a woman with mass the other day. And I quote, "You're lucky I have a soft spot for women with mass," end quote. And then when I was like, "I'm sorry, what did you just call me?" They said, "Let's not beat around the bush, Kieran. You know what you are. You're not skinny. You have weight to you." And I said, "Oh." But it was supposed to be like a compliment. Like they were trying to like hit on me, and I was like,
Oh.
right. Also was not someone I knew either. This was a stranger. I was like,
Right.
okay. So I was hit with that. When I was told yesterday I have big legs, I was like,
No, and you posted that. Who told you that? No, and you could say it. Who was it?
the power guy.
Ew. Why
Yeah.
are you so...
No, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. There is this guy whom I was just talking to about like my life. This is not a guy of interest. This is just a literal man.
Well,
No.
okay.
No. And I was just like, oh yeah, like I sent a snap, just like your normal one, whatever, and I was at the gym. And he's like, oh, you're at the gym. And I was like, well, yes, that is the photo I sent. Good job. But I was like, yeah, it's like leg and glutes day. And he was like, oh, okay, big legs. Hey, guys, I can't. Well, because he was like, oh, so you're like big muscles. And I was like, yeah, like that's the goal. And he was like, yeah, big legs.
Oh.
Because also, more drop, my brothers growing up used to call me Thunder Thighs.
Right. Guys, no, but thick thighs save lives.
No, I'm hoping it ends mine. Like, at this point, I cannot take one more negative comment about my body. Because on top of that, I was talking to my friend the other day, and she was telling me about this guy that she's talking to. And she was like telling me about this guy that she was talking to, and I was like, oh my god, haha, you should totally invite him over as like a joke. And she's like, oh, I couldn't do that. And I was like, okay, why? Is he gonna like hurt me? Like, I don't what? She's like, he would just say some not nice things about you to you. What? I was like, what? Basically, and then I was like, was he calling me like fat? And she's like, yeah, he called you fat. And I was like,
see, there are so many things wrong with that. One, why would she tell you that? Two, why is she even seeing this man? And I get that they're just hooking up, but there are so many, like, you can hook up with a morally decent person. Like, it's really not that complicated. It's not hard. Like, we all make mistakes, but we don't have to make that mistake. Like, that's not hard to like fix. Like, genuinely, like, sometimes, you know, you just have to say no.
So it's been a little bit rough for me.
Anyway.
I also did have a dream. I think I told this on the
I had a
podcast.
dream.
Did I tell this one on the podcast too? About
You did.
Okay,
you
so
did.
also recap very quickly, in case you did not hear about that one. I had a dream that I was a dog with dwarfism.
It's true.
Meaning that I had a dream that I was a dog that was short and stocky with like 3-inch legs. Like I was an obese dog with 3-inch legs.
It's true.
And I was telling the story to my mom the other day, and then the guy behind me in line started crying, laughing.
Right.
And I turned around, he goes, I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, I'm sorry. And I was like, no, that's fine, you can just say that. Because I also had a dream that I was at the doctor's, and they're like, you have little boy hands. Like, they diagnosed me with little boy hands. And I was like, all right. Anyhow, all of this has been happening in the same, like, 2-week time frame.
Right.
Or, like, 1 month time frame. And so I've just been getting hit back to back to back.
Bach to bach to bach.
So that's not really going well for me. That's been a little demoralizing. But anyhow, all I have to say is there's just been a lot going on in my life.
It's true.
Last week I had 15 meetings. I counted it. I had 15 meetings. I had an exam. And I had, obviously, class all week, work all week. And something else happened last week. Oh, I taught the contra. And I was still going to the gyms. Like, I literally, like, I'm also working on a project, which I just remembered now. I have to finish that at some point.
For 340.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just been for me. It's just been.
Yeah.
So feeling a little stretched thin, feeling a little tired, maybe a little burnt out. But unfortunately I don't have a choice but to keep going. So
Yeah.
here I stand, I guess. But all will be well at some point in my life. Between now and then.
It's true. Can I speak my truth?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. How am I feeling today? I'm in a good mood. The sun is shining. The tank is clean. And I'm feeling good. I have been a little bit more stressed as of late, just because things are picking up academics wise, obviously. And we have, we've had projects and exams, and but I did pretty well on my first round of exams, and I studied really hard for all of them, and I did pretty well. So I am feeling.
I did not.
Okay, well, you say that, and then you did better than me on the exam. So our ways of measuring success are different.
I just didn't do well compared to what I normally do.
Well, because they're hard classes. We have different philosophies, which maybe is why you're more stressed than I am. But
I have to have a high GPA for some of my stuff I'm doing.
So I'm feeling good about my grades at the moment. And I somehow am ahead this week. I turned in that project for 340, and I thought one of my things was due last week, but it's actually due this week, so I already did that, which was exciting. And I don't really have any major plans this weekend, so I can have some time. But I am, as I said, stressed about the internship thing. I didn't get that one that I interviewed for, and I had to do one of those higher view interview thingies on Friday.
I don't like those.
I don't either. It's literally for my dream internship, and I just have convinced myself that there's no chance that I'll get it. So, but that's my own brain talking. But I would really like that. But also that that dream internship is going to be at the company where my ex situationship works. So what I wouldn't like is to actually go into work and see him every day. But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do for the career. Anyway, so that's kind of going. I'm still getting over sickness, as you can see. In terms of relationships, I went on a date last week, and he was fine, but it was just kind of underwhelming, and I'm I don't know. I was like, man, I'll go on another date with him, whatever. But then I had my conference this weekend, and I was just feeling so I am so everything. I am so passionate about what I do, and I pour my life and soul into dancing and into my friends and into my passion projects and into my work and my career. And why would I want to be with somebody that's underwhelming? And when you ask them what are your passions, what are your hobbies, they're I don't know. No, I deserve so much more than that. And I like I'm not like, there was no spark, because for me to have a spark with someone, you have to be like, you have to have like passions and interests and like ambitions. Like, because I am so ambitious, and like I could never date someone that would not dance. They wouldn't even try. Like, I could never, because that's like everything to me. And like, I, like, as you can see, pour my life and soul into literally like the Contra Club, and like putting on those dances is everything to me. And it like genuinely like makes me so like joyful, and like connecting with people in that way is like such a blessing in my life. And how could I ever be with someone who doesn't have anything like that and has no desire to find something like that? So I'm kind of having an interesting situation with that, of like, if you can't match me, then like I'm not giving you a chance.
Is somebody gonna match my freak?
Right. And by my freak, I mean my whimsy for life. Like, can you match my freak, but also can you match my passion, my ambition, my drive, anything? And also, if you agree with everything I say,
get out. I hate that.
Why can't you banter with me? Why can't you make fun of me? I love to make fun of people. Like, that's what I do. And like, but like,
Julia learns that she's a bully.
Guys, look, come on, like, take my bullying. No, but like, I feel like my humor is, I mean, you guys know my humor if you watch the podcast. I feel like I'm pretty like witty and dry in my, like, the way that I like, I don't know, make jokes. And if you can't get that, or if you can't do it back, like, if you like,
the worst is like not even when they agree because like they agree. It's when they agree because they like just want to like make you happy.
Yes, and they don't even have an opinion on the subject, or like, they don't even have to have an opinion, but it's just like, like they just like laugh, like, because and first of all, they don't get the joke, or like they like won't do it back to me. Like, if I'm poking fun at you, and like you like think it's funny,
I just feel like a jerk.
Yeah, well, I don't. I'm just like, why can't you like? I'm making a joke, or like, am I making a joke about myself, and you like don't like, I don't even know. It's just like, I can't, because I've like had experiences where I've clicked with somebody who gets it. Like, people do get it. They do get me. But I just have been on so many dates lately where they just don't. And which is like fine. We just don't like spark like that. But I'm just like, I will not be giving you a second date if you like cannot give me anything on the first one, you know? Anyway, so I've been working through that. In terms of social life, doing well. I'm supposed to hang out with Serene this week. I'm supposed to hang out with Charlotte this week. I'm supposed to finally hang out with Josa and give her cat a bath. She has a naked cat, and I was supposed to give it a bath like 2 weeks ago, but then I got sick, so I couldn't go over there. So hopefully we'll get to do that this weekend. She doesn't have to work. And going camping with my friends in April. And I mean, you're gonna be gone this weekend, so that's not really great, but that's all right.
Gone this weekend.
It'll just give me some time, just some time to just go and explore, and then, do whatever. Probably go dancing a little bit. I need to go dancing. But yeah, been going to the gym. Well, I didn't go to the gym last week because I was sick, and then I was feeling sad because I couldn't go to the gym. But we went yesterday, and I'm feeling better, and we were talking about this. I feel like maybe I talked about it last week on the pod, but I thought like going to the gym like would potentially make me lose weight. But because we're lifting, I'm gaining muscle, which means I'm gaining weight, which is fine because I'm gaining muscle and I love it, and I love being strong, and like I'm actually so proud of it. Like, I won't shut up about like how I'm like I can lift heavier each time I go, blah blah blah. But sometimes I still like will get on a scale and look at the number and be like, ooh. But see, and we've talked about this before. I like back in the day, I used to have a really horrible body image like perspective, and I used to like really honestly like hate the way I looked, and that was for a variety of reasons, for the society that I grew up in, for the way the people around me would talk about their bodies or like make comments about my body or tell me what I needed to do to like be better, and like I don't know, whatever, like, or like make assumptions about my health because of the way that I look. And that was really hard, and I was low-key so insecure for a really long time and hated the way I looked. But then I don't really know what happened. It took a lot of years of work to get to where I am now, which is I actually don't, I don't feel negatively about my body most days. Like, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, ooh. But most of the time, it just doesn't even cross my mind. Like, doesn't even, I don't even think about it. Like, I don't go to the gym because I'm trying to lose weight. I was like, that would probably be a byproduct of going to the gym. But I go to the gym because I low-key think it's so fun. Like, set me up at a squat rack. I'm about to have some fun. Like, I'm about to lift a weight, you know? I just think it's awesome. And I love, being strong and building strength and, working towards something. It makes me feel good. And it has nothing to do with my body or this, the state of, how I look or, the amount of, I don't know, squishiness I have on me, because as we have discussed, I'm a curvy baddie, so that's never going to go away. I'm always going to look like that, because that's the way that I was made to look, and low-key, I'm sexy as hell, so I really have no problem with that. And now I have muscles, so I'm a muscle mommy, and it's, really a win in every department.
5 minutes later, I chime in.
I actually... Wait. Just right before you chime in, one quick vocal stem. My first piñata. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, that's been really stuck in my head. Go ahead. Speak your truth in your body.
I have a very negative relationship with my body.
It's true.
Okay, I don't think I like that you just commented on it like that.
We're working on it.
This is not a topic I'm very comfortable with talking about. And I also don't want to make the episode very depressing. So,
well, no, it doesn't matter. Actually, that does not matter. This is the whole point of this podcast, is to talk about things that we're we shouldn't talk about because we don't want to speak your truth, because this is important, and literally everybody goes through this. So
I have a very negative relationship with my body, and I always have. It's my one red flag.
My only red flag.
Only one. It kind of is, though, because it's such a large part of my life that it drives a lot of my life, if not all of it. Mm-hmm. There's a running joke between some of my friends that is funny because it's true, but it is also kind of sad that they never really see me dressed up, or if they do, it's for a very short amount of time, because then I'm immediately okay, can I go change? And I have been
that's true.
It's true. I especially at Galentine's or at Tanner's party, I have people come up to me this is the longest amount of time I've ever seen you in a nice or an actual outfit before you immediately went and changed, because you're always looking to change out of it, which is true. And it's just because I genuinely and from the bottom of my heart hate the way that I look in nicer clothes. And I've had a very difficult relationship with my body growing up. I was put into a lot of those fat kid weight camps, not camps, but programs, I guess. And I was always bigger. Julia was the first person that I ever found in life who looked similar to how I looked. Not to say that I hate the way Julia looks, because I know that that's exactly what that sounds like. I've talked about this, how Julia has been an inspiration for me. So... But growing up, I never had friends who were even remotely I'm bigger than Julia is. So there is all let me make that clear. I am bigger than Julia is. So that let me just clear the air. All of my friends growing up were very skinny, very thin, always have been. And that was for pretty much my entire life. All of my friends, and then they would be like, I feel so big, I feel so large.
Bro,
I'm so big. And it literally, and I was like, well, what am I? They're like, no, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful. I'm like, I don't believe you.
Right.
If you're saying all these negative things about yourself, and you're quite literally a quarter of the way that I am, what does that make me? I'm a monster. That's what I would call myself. I thought I was monstrous, because I was like, what in the world? And have you ever seen the movie Duff?
No, because I don't support that. But
right.
I know the concept.
For those who don't, it's the phrase DUFF, D-U-F-F, means designated ugly fat friend. And the whole movie is about this girl who has, like, 2 really hot best friends, and, like, all the guys always go to her to, like, try and get with her friends, and, like, no one ever really likes her, but she's, like, the fat funny friend, and blah, blah, blah. That's who I was growing up. I was the fat funny friend in all of my groups, and, like, none of my friends ever on purpose made me feel that way. That was just, like, kind of just how it became. And, you know, like, my doctors would always be like, maybe you should eat a little bit less, maybe you should, you know, go run a little bit more. And it always made me angry because I was like, why do I have to work so hard to be accepted when this is just how I am naturally? Like, I was like, I don't eat, like, I wasn't allowed to have anything sweet until the weekend. So there's only 2 days a week I was eating ice cream or something like that. Like, and my mom was very health conscious growing up, in a good way, not like a controlling way. So, like, we would have very balanced meals, like, you know, like, whatever. And so for the most part, I ate pretty well. Like, I didn't eat very badly. And I was very active growing up. I played a bajillion sports, and I played volleyball for 8 years. And I was in the volleyball gym, like, 6 hours a week, if not more, because I was also doing practice for, like, 2.5 hours twice a week. But then I was also doing, like, high intensity trainings throughout those days. But then also, like, and then also. So, like, it wasn't like I was just sitting at home and I was like, I'm still large. And a lot of it is muscle, but, like, when I go to the doctors, they would tell me I was obese. They're like, your BMI is, like, literally of, like,
that has literally been scientifically proven to be BS. Like, BMI is not, like, it is not accurate. Like, you can, like, you know, like, when you go to the gym, there's, like, people that are, like clearly, like, 100% muscle.
Yeah.
Their BMIs will also say that they're obese.
But unfortunately, because they look like they're clearly muscle, it's fine. I don't look like I'm clearly muscle. And that's fine. It's just, by proxy, my doctors don't really ever believe me. And so I always get the, maybe you should drink more water, maybe you should work out more.
That's ludicrous.
And, like, even when I went to the doctor recently, literally yesterday for something else, and I got in my car and I, like, actually cried on the way over to go, like, or not, like, cry, but I was just, like, teary-eyed the whole way because it was just, like, well, maybe you should be eating more fiber and you should have a more balanced diet and you should be, and, like, I, like, told my mom and she was like, well, maybe you should just do more cardio, like, in a supportive way. That was not my mom, like, bashing on me, but, like, it was just, like, I already walk 3 miles a day and I go to the gym for an hour 5 days a week, and also I'm eating meal planned meals. Like, my breakfast is a bagel or oatmeal. My lunch is a deli container with rice and chicken. Like, what else do you want me to do? But, like, I don't want to make my life awful. Like, I don't want to sit here and eat squash and, like,
I low-key love squash.
But I don't want to eat that. Like, I want to eat food. Like, I want to, like, I'm in college. I want to be able to, like, I don't understand why I have to work so hard when there's some people who don't have to work at all.
It's true.
Let me get off my soapbox. But anyhow, I just have a very hard relationship with my body. I don't have a lot of clothes. As we know, I wear a lot of the same things. And it, like, has actually made it worse.
Well, that's something we could change.
This is true. I just don't have money, which has been the biggest problem.
Which is something we can't change.
Right. It's a toggling process. But then I think it also makes it worse that my love life is so bad. Because, like, my friends and, like, will tell me all day long, like, no, you're so beautiful. And, like, even after my friend was like, yeah, this guy would come over and call you fat, she was like, but she, like, also got upset because she was like, I don't think that, like, that's just the kind of person he is. Mm-hmm. But that's not who I think you are. Like, you know. Mm-hmm. But it was just, like, I've been told something along those lines my literal whole life. Like, literally since elementary school, I would go on the monkey bars and this kid would come up to me and said, I'm surprised you're on the monkey bars because you're so heavy. I thought you would just fall off. I was, like, 7. I was 7. I got kicked out of running club twice because they said I was too fat. Bro. Or that I was too slow. Isn't that the point of running club? Is to learn how to run? And they're like, Kieran likes to walk when she warms up.
Hello, it's a
warm-up! And I'm 8! Like, what?
Oh my god.
I can never find clothes that fit me. I can never go to a lot of things because, or, like, I can, but sometimes I won't go to things because I don't have the right outfit for it. Or, like, I don't have a single photo of me from prom, either of years that I went, because I cried both times because I hated how much I looked. And so I deleted every single photo, and now I don't have any, which kind of sucks. I kind of wish I had photos from it, but I hated how I looked. And I think it just sucks that, like, in college, I was like, wow, I'm gonna go to school with so many people, like, I'm gonna be swarmed, like, I'm just gonna be, like, encompassed by love, like, blah, 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 blah. Wrong. Still have yet to go on a date. Still have yet to really be with anyone in my second. I'm now 2 years into college, and I'm graduating early, so I'm cutting myself a year short. So I'm missing out. Anyways, anyhow,
there's nothing.
but there's
you're
no
missing
timeline.
out on.
There's no timeline, and that's what I have to remind myself. And everything is fine. Everything is great. Everything is lovely.
Well, that doesn't have to be true, but like, time doesn't stop when you graduate. Literally, you just.
It's true. It just becomes a little bit harder because you're not in a pool of 40,000 people anymore.
That's true, but we also go to the same places every single day, so we're seeing the same people over and over anyway, even though we go to school with them. Let me tell you something. I, growing up, as I said, had a lot of similar issues, and I have the same like body type as my mom, and I have a sibling, right? And my sibling is older than me, gonna go ahead and would say probably the opposite body type for me. Would you concur on this fact? Yeah.
They're a little taller and thinner.
A lot thinner, I would say, yeah. And that was hard for me growing up because, like, I don't know. I always idolized my sibling because they're older than me, and I'm like, wow, they're so cool. Like, I want to be like them, whatever. And so that kind of, I was like that in the way that they look too. I was like, oh, they're like, I want to look like that, whatever. But I can't look like that. I will never look like that. And also, now I don't want to look like that. I can't, like, that's just
nothing against them.
No, I just, like, I have no desire to look that way anymore. Like, I just, like, that's just not what I'm meant to look like. But I, like, okay, picture this. One of my parents, who will remain unnamed, I only have two, so you could probably guess 50-50, was really, and is still really into going for walks every single day, and which is great. And I go for a walk every single day now because I have to, because I live on campus. But this parent of mine would always force me to go on a walk every single day with them.
That happened to me too.
Yep, but not my sibling. And I, like, hello, who's this texting me? Oh, anyway, so that's kind of hard for me because that behavior was kind of reinforcing my own belief that, like, I am unhealthy because I look the way that I look, and so that I need to, like, work out and do all this stuff. I was 11 or 12, no, that's not, like, let me live, I just look this way because I look this way, like, and that was really hard for me, and I don't know, that kind of was one of the driving reasons that I had a really hard relationship with my body, and I had a hard relationship with food too, especially in middle school. I, like, low-key did not eat. Like, and still I look the same way, so it's like, hey, further proof that it's not, like, this is just, like, my body. Like, I would not eat, and then I would still look like this because this is how I'm supposed to look. So, whatever. So it took a while for me to overcome the not eating thing and the I need to work out more than my sibling because they're just naturally healthier than I am because they're skinny, and I just need to, like, figure out how to be skinny like them. And, like, obviously my parent thinks that I need to do that, so I need to do what my parent says because they're an adult and they, like, want me to be healthy, and to be healthy I have to be skinny like that. That's BS. And I, like, that's just dumb. I am made the way that I'm supposed to be made. Like, there is no difference for me. I am, like, this is just me. And I also am healthy. Like, bottom line, I, like, take very good care of myself. And, like, obviously now I've gotten to the point, like, for a while after I overcame the, like, major body image issues, I, like, just didn't really work out at all because I was like, well, I'm not doing, like, you can't make me do that. I'm not going to do it. It's not fun. Like, I don't need to be skinny like that, so I'm not going to work out. But, like, now I've gotten to the point of where, like, low-key it's fun. Like, it brings me joy, and it makes me feel strong and, like, good to work out and, like, lift weights and do cardio. It, like, makes me happy, and it's not because somebody else is telling me that I need to lose weight or, like, I feel like I need to lose weight. It's just because I feel, like, good. And also, stronger I am, the better dancer I am. So having dancing as like a motivation makes it a lot easier for me. And also dancing in itself is cardio, which is, let me tell you, tears my body up. Yeah, my back was hurt after Saturday night. But any which way, it's a long journey, and it never low-key ends, because I still have days and like periods of time where I'm like, oh Lord, like I'd like every time I don't get on scales anymore very much, but I did discover one in the gym, and I was like, well, let me see what's up here, and I stepped on it, and I was like, oh, so the muscle actually is like I'm gonna go be adding on there.
Yeah,
right, and
that it always gets me at the doctor. It always does.
Yeah.
I lost 40 pounds when I came to college because I was not eating and I was walking a lot.
The saltines.
But like, I've always been one to be prone to grow muscle, like, which I guess is a good thing. It's very easy for me to gain muscle.
It's true. You are like very strong. When we lived at the gym, Queen is like going to town.
I will say I'm pretty muscular in the sense of like, obviously you can't see it, but like I sleeper build, but I am prone to being very muscular, but that's always been like a thing of mine, like since I was a kid. And so like I was 150 pounds by the time that I was in 4th grade. And then
wait, I'm thinking when you said when you were born you were 21 pounds.
I was trying to explain to Julia yesterday that I came out as a very healthy and full baby. And what I meant to say that I was 21 pounds, that I was 21 inches and like 9.5 pounds, but instead I said I was 9.5 inches and 21 pounds.
This big, 21 pounds.
Like my mom would have died. My mom would have actually
split wide open.
I've been born a literal boulder. No wonder she had a C-section.
I was also a C-section baby.
I was a C-section baby. I had my hand on top of my head and I refused to put it down. So they would like push it off and then I'd put it back up, and then they were like,
it was too bright.
No, it was too much effort. They're like, you got to go through that. And I said, absolutely not.
She was so tired.
I said, I will not be going through that.
You can take me out. You can go open and take me out.
No. Option 2, thank you.
But anyway.
But anyhow, I was going to say something that I don't remember what it was. But it's getting, let me end on a higher note. Sorry, guys.
Don't apologize. This is a safe space.
I'm thinking of the higher note I went on. It's not as bad as my outlook on myself is not as bad as it used to be.
Yay!
If we're comparing it to the worst it ever was, it is not that.
Yay!
It's only a little bit above that, but it is above, so that's fine. And I'm learning to love myself more every day.
I like that.
And I think your life will become a lot easier when you do too, if you don't already.
So get into that.
Yeah. You are beautiful in every single way. Words can't bring me down. They definitely can. But
it's true.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words.
But chains and whips excite me.
I'm bad, but I'm perfectly good at it. Yeah. What time are we at? Did we talk about that for like an hour?
So we're at 48 minutes. Let's do a quick notes app.
Oh, I know what my notes app is.
I wrote one down, but I can't remember what it was.
Okay, I'll do mine while we're waiting.
Yeah. Okay, I have mine.
My notes app is that something that I've learned to enjoy as I've gotten older. POV, I'm literally only 19, but something I've learned to enjoy as I've gotten older is hummus.
Oh, I love hummus.
I used to be a big hummus hater. Well, okay, so this kind of goes back into this whole body thing, but when I was younger, my mom used to feed me, like, peppers with hummus for lunch. Like, that was all I was allowed to eat.
Well, when you eat that much, it's like...
And then one time in, like, the 3rd grade, I opened up my hummus cup and it was moldy.
Oh, my God.
And then I immediately hated hummus after that, but...
For real.
But I also just, like, never really liked hummus that much. Like, it's just, like, I don't like the taste of it that much, and I was like, eh. Recently, and by recently I mean like literally a few days ago, I was like at this place and one of the options to put on my bowl was hummus, and I was like, let me get some of that. Put a little scoop on there. And it was delicious. and I'm low-key being turned around on hummus.
I love a roasted garlic hummus.
I love a chickpea, so like I don't know why I wouldn't like hummus. But as I've gotten older, I've learned to enjoy hummus more. That's kind of how I was with pineapple as well. I used to really not like pineapple, and then I went through a phase where I was like, like I had to have it.
It burns my whips.
Yes, it does. It does eventually hurt my stomach or my throat at some point.
Yeah.
But I do love pineapple now. But yeah, I was just thinking about that because I was like, I used to be a hummus hater, but now I kind of I'm turned on to it. I'm liking it a little more.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, the thing that I wrote down in my notes that I was like, oh, I should share this is Saturday night after I got home from my contra dance. I was laying in my bed and my ears were ringing, but they weren't ringing and like just like a ringing. It was the sound of a mandolin. It was just like in my ears, and I was like, stop! Like I'm literally laying here like. But
World's tiniest violin.
Yes, there was a tiny mandolin in my ear ball, and it was playing, and it wouldn't stop. And I was like, so what am I supposed to do about this?
That happens to me all the time now with the phone that rings at work. I listen to the phone ring so many times that I just hear it now. Like sometimes I'll be like,
True.
But I'll be like outside. I'm like, why would there be a phone ringing?
Business office. What can I do for you?
No, my customer service voice is crazy.
It's true.
It's very, very up there.
Yeah. So mandolin was inside my head. Also got the same band for the next dance. Because let me tell you, that mandolin player. Let me tell you a little something about this mandolin player. This mandolin player is probably the most batty individual I've ever come across in my life. Okay, very batty, very batty, batty, batty. So then I did move forward with following him on Instagram, and he followed me back. So I'm feeling really positive about that. But he is definitely approaching his 30s, so I'm feeling a little negative about that point. But it's okay. We rise and we move forward, and I want him so bad. Anyway, hope you guys have a lovely day.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram and DM us any questions or topics that you want to hear about. TWTS Pod, our individual... TWTS Pod. Our individual accounts are linked in the bio.